Here.
Cacciatore.
Here.
Harvey Montgomery. Here. Kroll.
Here.
Rosendahl.
Here.
All right, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Second by Carter Montgomery, discussion, roll call.
Kroll.
Yes.
Harvey Montgomery.
Yes.
Bodie.
Yes.
Cacciatore.
Yes.
Rosendahl.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we are here to discuss the police department reports, and I'm going to turn it over to our committee department. That kicks off. Board members.
Good, almost afternoon. We're really close. Thank you guys for all coming today. I'm gonna turn it over to OPN. We have introductions within the slides, so we'll just kind of do it that way. This will be very interactive today, but Danielle will go through that with all of you guys. We also have DCI here. They'll introduce themselves as we get going as well. Thank you.
First, thank you all for spending a little time with us over your lunch break today. We very much appreciate it. This should be a fun session. When we do these with groups, the entire point of visioning for us is really just to establish project guiding principles, the things that we all agree are going to be important, and then help set priorities. So this should be a fun conversation, and I hope everybody enjoys it today. So with that, we thought we'd introduce, we can keep going. We'll hit that later. So we'd introduce the team a little bit. I'm Danielle Herman. I'm a principal with OPN Architects. I lead our Des Moines studio. I'll talk a little bit more about OPN, but Thomas, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Thomas Thacker, architect with OPN as well.
Thomas has worked with me on a number of public safety projects, so he'll be great for the team. Our project manager, Aaron, unfortunately couldn't be here with us today. He has young kids who managed to get him ill, so he's recovering at home, but is sorry to miss this. We've got the rest of our team, as Angie referenced, sitting over here. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves as well?
Yep, I can start. Michael Steen, DCI Group Vice President there, Project Executive for this project.
Nick Bruck, DCI Group Project Executive.
Perfect.
I'm good.
All right, so we thought for those of you that may or may not be familiar with OPN, just share a little bit about who we are as a firm. We've been in business for coming up on 50 years. We do a tremendous amount of civic work and have a market segment dedicated to public safety in particular. This is just showing a couple of the projects. We do work across the upper Midwest where we have our 5 locations, 3 locations here in Iowa, Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, and Iowa City. And then we also have studios in Madison and Minneapolis. So we're doing work on a civic scale in the upper Midwest region primarily, but also a little bit around the country. You want to talk a little bit about
Yeah, I can. So Sidekick Development has been around about 5.5 years, and I primarily do owner's rep work for public and private clients. So what that means is anyone from a city who's trying to build a police station to corporate office who's doing an addition or a new building, I act as them during the construction process, hire the architect, hire the contractor, review all the plans, read all the emails, answer all the questions so that everybody else can do their real job and not have to focus as much on a construction project.
Okay, I think with that, we're into the meat of the visioning. So as I mentioned, this is really just about aligning objectives and goals for everyone today. It sounds like several of you in the room have either been through some strategic planning or some visioning sessions in the past, so you're probably already familiar with the tool that we're going to use. It's called Mentimeter. It's an online tool, it's really easy, so hopefully all of you have phones with you. It's easy to just scan a QR code and it will have you join this Menti. What it does is you'll answer questions on your phone, obviously anonymously, and it will pop up answers live on the screen in front of us so that we can talk a little bit about what everyone's priorities are and how we're seeing all of that come together.
And if you do have a laptop that's more convenient, the left side you can log in just via the web browser as well. It's the same content.
We'll give everybody just a moment.
You should end up seeing the homepage that was on the screen earlier. You're in the right place.
Have any issues getting to it, just give us a shout. you doing? Connected? See a bunch of things. Yeah, okay. Good. Chief is in. Yes. Yes, I'll-
I can't remember if it skips ahead on its own, but you might need to skip through the slides.
So yeah, sometimes it will prompt you to go for it. I don't think it will let them go to the next slide until we proceed. Good. So we'll move on. Okay, perfect. It's good first step. So we like to start these by just talking about the place, who Urbandale is. So there's gonna be a couple of questions that are more general in nature that just help us understand who the community is and the vibe that you all want buildings here and the community to sort of sense from a place. Okay. You have another one of these that's also fun. That's if you had a ray gun t-shirt, what would your ray gun t-shirt say?
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Excellent. Great. Perfect. Everybody get a chance to answer. I'm looking at the number. It's looking like there we go. Great responses. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so we're working. That's good. All right, let's go ahead and keep moving. What makes Urbandale uniquely Urbandale? I think every community at some point says that.
Are we getting too far? Is anyone having issues with the phone platform?
The whale shape is a popular one. It's not me.
The building is gonna be shaped like a whale, but
I like all the references to parks and trails. Yeah, that's great. Okay. Has everybody had a chance to answer? Looks like we've got all of them. All right, let's keep going then. So we also want to talk a little bit about just overall values and what's important to the city of Urbandale. So there's just a couple of questions here before we get into a couple of other details. So what should the highest priority for this new police facility be?
Boston or Johnston. Sorry, guys. But I guess we like Johnston too.
We do. How about you, Northwest Love? Got it.
Cedar Falls, Dowling, and then Lester, the next fall is Dowling. Yeah.
These are great responses. Cover the range of things that we know are important in public safety facilities. I'm glad to see focus on accessibility.
I think in my list up there what I need. Windows. I'm approaching that point in my life.
Great set of answers. I think we've got everybody's comments. Alright, this is the fun one. If you have ever seen a portal get created live in front of you, what are 3 words that define success for each of you as individuals? That's a good word. It's nice to see that there's some cohesiveness between several of these, clearly some trends. Great. Get everybody? Perfect. Okay. Thank you. All right. So we're going to move into a section that focuses on what we refer to as the framework for design excellence. So for those of you that aren't familiar with this, it's a framework that was developed by our professional organization, AIA, which is the American Institute of Architects, to help guide project standards. So it basically breaks all components, pretty much anything that you could think of within the design of a building into 10 buckets or 10 topics. Do you want to go to the next slide, Thomas? So just about anything that we could decide to do would be somewhere within these 10 buckets. But for public safety facilities, and because we do these so much, we typically know that we can't focus on 10. All 10 can't be a priority. We typically know about 5 to 6 of these rise to the top, especially when we're talking about public safety facilities. So we've narrowed that down a little bit. Here you can see to designing for community, designing for change or flexibility long-term, designing for wellness, health and wellness, designing for economy, and designing for energy and integration. Many of the things that actually flow pretty well out of the words that you all were identifying as priorities and that rose to the top. So we'll go through these and have a kind of series of slides, 1 or 2 within each of these sections so we can talk about these a little bit more. So the first one we want to talk about is design for integration. This is really thinking about the big picture and how we bring it all together. So this first question that we want to ask you is just to help us prioritize in general across those 5 or 6 categories, what rises to the top for you. So this should be a set of slider bars that you can select sort of 1 through, I think it's 1 through 6, if I'm 7, 1 through 7.
Oh, I actually don't know. 1 through something. I'd say, I'm not sure if it has an instruction on there, but 7 would be the most important or interesting.
No, it's month's highest priority. You can actually prioritize them in order.
You put it in there.
Oh, gotcha.
There's a couple more stories there. Great. It's nice when they're cut off with a couple of really right at the top, that's perfect. Alright, did we get everybody? Excellent, okay. So now we want to talk specifically within those categories about design for energy. So this next one is gonna be similar to this last one, it's gonna have a series of initiatives under the umbrella of energy. You can prioritize those as which rises to the top for you as well. And if you need me to explain any of these, please just shout it out, because if you don't know what it is, there's probably others in the room that don't either. So that basically just means improving the building envelope's energy performance overall. So it might be, more insulation, tighter air infiltration controls, just making sure that the building envelope itself functions at a higher level. Does that help? Perfect. Outstanding, pretty answered. There we go, there's those. Perfect. Okay. So when we talk about design for economy, this is one that we inherently do as part of the design process, but it's more about what we're gonna get into when we get a little later in the design. So there are some decisions that we will just make as designers because we know they're the right things to do and they will improve things like your overall occupant satisfaction, that they'll help reduce sick days and employee satisfaction overall because, bringing in daylighting, good daylighting, and making sure that we've got good indoor air quality, all of those things are gonna help make sure that our police are functioning at the highest level. There will be other things that we will come back to you and talk about what is the ROI or the return on investment. So we'll help analyze the life cycle cost over the long term to help understand what's the balance of the first cost versus the long-term investment and when that pays back, so we can work with you to make those decisions. So then we wanted to move into design for community, and again, we're gonna have a series of options here that we'd like you to rate or rank as to which is most important to you from a community standpoint. So these are the things in the project that help engage with or connect So wellness is another thing that we spend a lot of time talking about anytime we're working on public safety projects. They're unique in that obviously the officers are at risk at a higher percentage than the overall population for things like PTSD, shift work, sleep disorder, if they're working night shifts or in different combinations of hours, which also raises their risk for coronary disease and irregular circadian rhythms. There are many things that we can do through design to help reinforce and improve those conditions, which I think the next slide goes into a little bit. There are strategies around decontamination, and we will work through those. Those are things that are just best practice. But there are also things around just general health and safety. How do we just make sure that we're setting up the sequence of spaces to also give us appropriate ways to control indoor air quality and remove any kind of toxins or debris. We also talk about collaborative spaces, so it's when and where do people need spaces to work together, and then where and when do they need spaces to find respite or maybe get a quiet moment alone. And a lot of that goes to improving the overall culture. I know I saw on one of the slides, at least, that attract and retain came up. That is a huge component of what we talk about in public safety facilities, especially in a growing metro like this, where there's a lot of communities that have been investing in public safety, and I know you all spend a lot of time trying to both attract and retain the staff that you have. So we'll talk further about this as we get into the design in more detail as well. Then designing for change. This is another one that rose to the top on several slides and answers for people around flexibility and how we think about the long term. So we've got a couple of things we want to ask you on this one. One thing about this one is just what gets you the most excited about the project.
Really big or really small? Okay, just a couple more. All right, so this I think is transitioning us into our dot exercise. Thomas? That's where we're headed. Nope. There's a couple more final questions. Okay, perfect. So we are going to. This is the series of questions that will lead us into what we refer to as the dot exercise. This will be the show and tell part of the presentation where you'll get to get up and move around a little bit. But we've got these last couple questions before we kick that off. So when people walk into this facility, what's the thing that you want them to think about or say when they go back out to the community and talk about it?
We'll sort through that too, that's okay. Great, okay. I think we got everybody, Thomas. Go forward for me. There we go, I think that's just on the other side. All right, so we're gonna move into dot exercise. So let me explain just a little bit about what this is. We've put images on both sides of the room, just so you have some space to spread out. We're gonna give you red dots and green dots. What we want you to do is walk around and look at the images. These are all exterior. On the back wall are all interior images. Red is bad, green is good, and you can be selective. So I always tell everybody when you do this, it's okay to put a red dot on something that's specific. It could be, I don't like anything about it and the whole thing is bad, or it might be something very specific, like I don't like that material, or I don't like the way that the front plaza works. We'll talk a little bit about it, but the intent is to see where we have consensus amongst the group on the things that nobody likes or that everybody likes. I think we've got enough, or right around enough for the entire group, so I'm gonna start here. And it is okay to talk with your neighbor if you want during this. I think we'll give everybody, based on the time we have, probably about 10-15 minutes, and then we'll reconvene so we can talk. I have more secrets than that. It's okay to share too, if you run out.
We don't all have the same number.
We don't have exactly the same number based on what was on the sheets. We can,
Well, I think you.
Thomas, do we have one more for anyone?
He likes everything.
I love everything, you know me.
You're fine with no rent.
I want my cake and I want to eat it too. Thank you.
There you go. All right, did we get everybody?
Okay, so do you want us to, like, when we got things, do you want us, if we only like one element of it, do you want us to write that?
You don't have to, because what we'll do is when we come back together to discuss, we'll look at where we've got the most red or the most green, and we'll talk primarily about those. Yep. that. There's only a couple that have a combination, so, maybe let's start over here and we'll work our way across. What didn't we like about this one? A lot of red. Industrial. Industrial?
It's very utilitarian.
Pedestrian. Anything else on that one?
Pedestrian.
What is that?
It's
Or
Oh, this one, got a lot of green.
I get, like, there's enough windows where, like, there's some level of transparency.
Transparency. What was that?
light.
Clean lines.
Anything else on that one?
I would just mention that I love the glass, I love that part of it, but with the police facility, sometimes it's a concern for those that work there, to have a lot of glass because of the threats that could potentially, I mean, I know it's Urbandale, but it does cost people lives. I've heard Clive talk about it on their facility, the glass that they have on the front, they don't have a ton, but the glass that they do have there is not anything special, so their offices are right in there where they're visible from people pulling up in the parking lot, so I think the glass is there, it needs to be something where someone's office isn't right there, visible from the public parking lot at least.
Okay.
I think I definitely, I mean, and I defer a lot to our staff on this, but I wanna see it as open and filled with light as possible while maintaining safety. Like I was in the bathroom when we talked about the Dallas County one. I mean, to me, that just looks like a regular building, you know, like I want something more elevated that, you know, but while maintaining safety. And I think there's several on there that have like an elevated design and a combination of walls and windows.
Sure. Okay. What about this one? There's a lot of red on that.
Looks like a prison. It's just, there's a lot of bars and fence and it's just not looking inviting at all.
Someone mentioned boxcar turned on its side.
But yeah, that tracks. Well, this guy, got some green.
Like,
Has a good presence to the street.
That's the one that looks like there might be solar on top.
This one I'm not sure, I don't see. It's got another one. Anything else on that one? This is a good one that's a little tougher. What about this guy? He got a lot of green and then some red too. It's okay if it's something super specific too.
I was a red, I thought there was just too much going on.
What about some of the green?
Yeah, I liked how the facade was broken up.
The variety.
I think the depth and variety added character to the structure.
Looked modern to me.
Yeah.
More modern building.
It feels like
Right.
would do well.
Interestingly enough, this one's very different, but it also got some red and some green, so I'm curious what wants to share on that one.
I thought the design was interesting, you know, and it might, I think it has an interesting entrance feature, which is what I'm looking for. And maybe the concern that the chief had about, you know, offices, you know, right there on ground level with, you know, big windows, maybe kind of alleviates that by, you know, having the second story, so. I did put a green on that one.
I put a green because I liked the way the light was used as a treatment overall. It looks like it's kind of more artistic, which then lent more creativity to the actual space of the building, rather than just, we're gonna light this building. It looks like some thought was given to
Love the red.
Kind of looks like a whale. It doesn't have the tail, so it can't, you know, like, I'll take exactly that if you add a tail to it, then that's it. If there's no tail, I can't.
The functionality of it too, I think you lose a lot of space by opening up the bottom of it that you could be using for other things.
Yeah, I was thinking, I think about the site. You know, it's a little too artsy for my taste to begin with, but I think the site, given the limited space like the maximize functionality, so.
And do a cool cantilever thing and then put a
What about, I'm gonna skip this one because I think it's probably apparent as to why. We typically get a lot of reds on that one. One of these days, something will fit there. What about this guy? You got quite a bit of red, but one green.
The windows is closed off, doesn't look welcoming.
Okay.
Black and white art feels taken to me. That trend is on now.
The contrast.
I'll fess up to being the one green dot, which I kind of just did because everyone had red dots, but also because I've been in the building and on the site when it's not covered in snow and when you can see the whole context of it. And it wouldn't be my favorite building in the world, but I think it reads a bit better than that photo, maybe.
Sure,
And the
that's
space
fair.
inside is very nice.
Yep. Okay. What about this one? Got a lot of green.
I put a green up there because the green roof, not that I necessarily think we should have a green roof, but just it was the only thing that clearly had made some effort towards sustainability. I guess one other had some solar where I put a green. That's why I put a green up there, the sustainability nature of it. But I'm not sure green is a good idea, I'm not saying.
More just the approach.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? Who else?
Windows, light, your building, many of them. Say windows, recognizing, I mean, I had a building that we only had windows on the second floor for a reason, like safety so also.
You can put glass in there, it's just, probably, it's gonna have to be some type of safety glass that's gonna cost quite a bit of money. Ton of it.
Skip past this one. What about this one? You got a lot of greens too.
That one that has kind of like a plaza entry.
Has a canopy over a sidewalk entry, is that
More attractive, yeah.
materials that we liked as far as when you say attractive or?
That's broken up and I don't know, the canopy felt a little welcoming. And coming out of the rain.
Yep, exactly.
It seems like something that would fit in our communities around here.
Any others that we didn't talk about, but that you had something you felt really strongly about that you wanted to share?
Right top row. I think that, like, not necessarily the building, but like the landscaping out front, like it, not necessarily having to make it look just like that, but like having a kind of thoughtful approach to where is there kind of neutral space where there's not gonna be anything and we're not gonna put anything, like how can we utilize that to just make it a generally nice, just turf grass that we have to mow constantly, like what-
Maintainability of it.
yeah.
And aid landscaping.
And the bottom row from right. I think picking up on that theme, just where are those natural spots where you can take care of the stormwater? They cleverly, I think that's like a little sidewalk bridge that goes over a depression. Just utilizing the layout of the site well.
Sorry, still working.
It's all right.
Anything else? Alright, let's switch to the interior. There was a lot of green over here. You all know what we like. We typically get a lot more red than we get green, so this is great. Okay, let's maybe start over here. What do you like about this one? You had to say what made it welcoming, what would that be?
I think just the way that box is recessed. Yeah.
Okay.
That one and this Albany Police Department one, there was also a place where you knew you were supposed to go. I think of people coming into the police department, it's already probably some apprehension of, you know, so anything that we can do to lessen that anxiety. Yeah.
It's like you're light and warm at the same time.
Does that apply also to this one then?
One thing that I liked about the first one is like it looked like there was enough space in there too that you could have some type of like small public type of gathering, like like if you're like inviting people in for like a reception or something, or like a little like a small talk or something like that's just public facing, like there is room for some of that type of programming if that's of interest, rather than just kind of like you're walking in and like there's 2 foot and then a desk and it's like there's nowhere to stand in here, right?
What about this one? Looks like people were maybe being specific to the stair or railing, but I'm not 100% sure.
There's a few of us had discussions about that, didn't love the stairs, or I think there's actually a gate that prevents the public from going up the stairs, possibly, which is again not very inviting or engaging.
It seemed fragile, which is against our durability values.
So then we talked a little bit about this one. Were there other things about the image above it? Greens.
Now that we've had this conversation, the one on the bottom there, I'm pretty sure I put a green there. I mean, if we're looking at an entryway, like I like the one on the lower, like first one. That seems a little closed off.
This one does?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I like the, the check-in window, whatever we call that, but then having that other wall there seems to make that area much smaller, and I like what Blake said about having, space for a small reception or something in the entryway, and that doesn't feel as welcoming. Just in really comparison to the first one in that row, but I do like the materials.
I have a question for you in relation to safety and or
Well, the staff will always have to be behind glass, you know, it's the way it is now. But if you look at our lobby that we have right now, it's too small, right? And so when people come in there, so like a lot of times what happens is you have 4 or 5 people coming in for a meeting, you know, a small meeting, and there's just no, with that piece of furniture we have there for people to sit a little bit if they need to wait for a while. There's just nowhere to really stand there, kind of in the middle, and it's very crowded up there. So it's like people really don't know where to go. So it does need to have a little bit of an open area, enough for 5, 6 people to stand comfortably and not on top of each other. Plus a little bit of, there was one where there was some furniture, like people were sitting in some furniture, like. Yeah, that one. So you would really like to have both of those, but I know that eats up a ton of space too. So you may not be able to do the furniture part of it, but it's definitely nice to have that space in there to meet and greet people and exit them when they're ready to leave too, because you kind of wander back out there and then you like say, hey, you know, thanks for coming or whatever. There's just really nowhere to do that. And if you think about it in ours now, where we have our Urbandale Police logo, we try to take photos next to that, and it's almost impossible with the furniture and the crowd people around there, and then the people that are waiting for services are right there as well. It's just not, ours is an example of what not to do. We should have taken a picture of that and put a bunch of red dots on it, but yeah. And it's very small, but I get it, you know, we have to obviously use the space as efficient as possible, but we do need some lobby area.
Well, I mean, we need to work being as efficient and cost effective as possible, but I think having a welcoming entry space is a priority for a new police station. We know that what we have doesn't work. And so I don't think it's being extravagant to ask for more space and some chairs that work and maybe movable.
We'll also have adjacent rooms off of the lobby as well for like somebody to take a report or do fingerprinting or things like that. So we'll have, which they do over there now, kind of. But we'll have adjacent rooms that'll have to be in the lobby too, because that'll be on the public side, so that way they don't get back in the police side.
We're gonna get a split. What about this one? Carpet. Well, it just looks closed, you know, like visible to the class. I think you have much better, more open, filled with light examples of seminar, you know, conference room. This one was definitely business workshop. Well, I can't remember which one I put greens on, but there were several that were much more light. As if we're gonna have, you know, trainings, and I think the intention was to have that available for some public trainings and things like that. I just want more light. But again, now you have me a little apprehensive of light and windows.
Right. There's a balance there.
Yeah, I say it's that.
And the idea, like the feeling I get from that one, is more of an outdoor break room type of thing, and it is sheltered, so you're getting some of that outdoor benefit without just having it be like just this open patio, right?
fitness and light.
Yeah, I like that a lot, I think. From a wellness standpoint we talked about with the officers before.
Mine was more there for a general amenities perspective from talent recruitment. I mean, it's so hard to get police. We pull out all the stops. If we could have some more things like this, I think we could maybe recruit better.
I'm not a real fitness person, so like, I don't know that I even put a sticker, cause I wanted to defer. I didn't really know the difference between that one and that one. I mean, they're taken from different angles, likely there's a glass wall somewhere for that other one, but, you know, I would definitely defer to our staff as to what would, you know, what do you want?
I like the exterior windows as opposed to the interior. I would like people, I wouldn't enjoy people watching me work out. It's
Yeah.
not pretty. But the outside where they can see outside when they're doing it, people can't really
see outside, that glass, that exterior facing.
Everyone likes the fishbowl of that.
Right, exactly. It'll be very inviting watching me work out.
Something to jump back to the one that with the park benches, that is just over here.
The red ones.
Something that I was just thinking about, like that the park benches
The top.
third from the
Yeah.
right,
The
top
one
row.
where they're inside, the sterile ones.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just something I'm thinking about in terms of like public, especially on the public side, like choosing furniture that doesn't necessarily have like a hostile architecture type of vibe to it, because like this one's got the middle bar and in the middle of the bench type of thing, like. Right, yeah. But it anything you add in that way makes it like, don't sit on me, right? So it just keeping that in mind when you pick out some of that stuff.
One thing that I was looking for and didn't see up here represented, you know, I wanna make sure we have space where you can have confidential conversations.
We've talked about that, that's part of our design. There'll be what they call a soft interview room where like a family can come in and it has soft furniture where, you know, kids and mom and dad and the whole family could be in that room at the same time and feel comfortable.
Sound secure.
Yeah.
I put a green on that because I thought it looked like everybody in there was comfortable and that there was light. And I noted that it was light that was maybe coming from a courtyard, which I thought might be a safer piece for getting light inside, like a skylight might be or a courtyard might be. So get the light inside.
One thing that one brings value with is it looks like you could take your laptop in there and work like out of an office or something, like just you need a change of scenery, like giving those options to say like I wanna write up a report or something like in the common room or something, and obviously, you know, we have to think about privacy and confidentiality and things like that, but like being able to have that flexibility of going and working where it feels most comfortable at that point in time too, I think is valuable. Flexible space.
Anything else that we haven't talked about that you wanted to touch on?
Similar comments as far as close on like this one right here feels overwhelming. You're walking into that. See that it's overwhelming for an opportunity. Yeah, that's
Welcome, yeah, but I was just sleeping here.
It's been great comments. Any last closing thoughts on these before we, otherwise we can, we're right about 1 o'clock. It's never a bad thing, right? Okay, well, thank you all for participating. This has been incredibly helpful, so I look forward to coming back to you when we get a little further down the road. Thanks so much, it was nice to meet all of you as well.
Opportunity for questions or next steps.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions, we're here. You guys can go ahead and ask them. Just general high next steps for us is, as you guys know, you approved DCI last week, so they're on the team now. So we've gone through block diagramming, we're working on adjacencies to continue further into design. So now that we have the full team on, we have some plan moving forward. We'll start drawing and getting a budget put together. Our first budget exercise will probably be late April, early May. We'll share that with these guys just to make sure we're on the right track. Knowing that it's $50 million is what has been approved, we'll make sure we're on a path that gets us there. And then really, our final budget will probably come August, September-ish, so that's ready to go out for bond. So, and that will be off of a set of design development documents, all construction documents up to like 80%. We'll be working on as well. So, but by August or September, we'll have a number that we're comfortable that you guys can go put in your bond, get that all put together, get out and do your community groups, make sure we're on budget there. So, because last thing we want to do is put out a number and then not have that be the right number. So, this April number we're probably not sharing with anyone. It's more just a check, like, yeah, we're close. It's not a public number by any means. So,
When would you hear from the public to know in terms of the progress of the design, it might be able to see some sort of early concepts or.
yeah, so I don't know if we would do, I think initially we targeted like June. Let us get through April, May, get through if what we're building and designing works. So probably I would say June, some decent renderings and a floor plan that's pretty well vetted out. And skin, Danielle, we probably have a material wise, probably a good idea of what we're looking at. So probably June is the next time you'll see us. These guys will see us every week, but you guys won't probably see us again until June or so.
So it looks like there's a council update on event.
We had talked about May 5th as a stopping in.
Yeah, just
for an
kind of,
update, but that's tentative.
that's tentative because we'll have a budget, but I don't know that is a public thing we'll put out. So we could, I mean, I don't feel like we'll have a ton new to share with you. We might have some renderings, but not necessarily vetted out far enough, and I won't have pricing fully back either. So we could do a May one, or I would prefer a June one, but either way. We don't wanna come without like enough information, right? Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, we wanna be able to field questions, we wanna be confident in what we're doing, and so. I think so. Okay. Or the last one in May, maybe, instead of but yeah, we could do the last one in May, that would work too, but. We've been massaging things on the site and making sure we got some comments from community development as far as setbacks and things, so we're still just trying to put everything on the site that makes sense, so. But we're there, so now we can work on adjacencies and how the police wants to operate. In a 2-story building, we have to figure out operations too. So how that all works up and down and who's on level 1 and you know, there's a lot of adjacencies to the police garage, just kind of figuring all of that stuff before we say, here's where investigations is going, here's where patrol is going. We have to make sure site-wise everybody can move about how they're supposed to. So. The other questions?